Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best counter picks to the S tier champions for 9.13. So usually my videos consist of just taking a look at the best champions for the patch and which champions perform the best right now, but I think it's a good idea to also take a look at which champions can actually do well against the champions that do perform the best. And just a quick note before we get started here, Quarterback has recently completely revamped their shop. You no longer have to wait a certain amount of time to get your skins from Quarterback. You just buy an RP card now with your coins, and the RP card will automatically get added to your account. So I know that was one of the big complaints people had about the app in the past, the fact that the wait time for skins was super long. So now there's no wait time at all, which is a really nice new feature for the app. So if you're interested in getting some free skins for just playing League, then link will be down in the description below as always. Alright, so if we start off in the top lane, Mordekaiser right now is undoubtedly one of the strongest, if not the strongest top laners. He is sitting at the highest pick rate across most elos right now in the top lane. So two champions that you should definitely look to pick into him are Olaf and Mordekaiser. So for the Olaf pick, if you do run Ignite on Olaf, also run the Conquer. Mordekaiser really can't deal with you in the early game. You can really take advantage of Olaf's strong dueling potential in the early game. Just look to all in him really early on. Also, when you do get to level 6 with Olaf, you can use your ultimate as Mordekaiser is using his on you to negate that. So it's just overall a very good matchup for Olaf, and you can really look to snowball the lane out of control. And as for Tryndamere, he pretty much beats Mordekaiser at most stages of the game. You're going to run the Ignite on Tryndamere, so you can have some pretty good kill pressure in the early game. Once you hit your 2 to 3 items on Tryndamere, Mordekaiser is not going to be able to deal with your DPS. You're just going to be able to run him down in the side lane. You're going to be able to out DPS him really easily, especially with the lethal tempo on the Tryndamere and just getting the crits out with the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge. So overall, Tryndamere, most stages of the game, does destroy Mordekaiser. So taking a look at Darius now, Darius is one of the most picked top laners, and he's also a great pick in this patch. Two champions that do extremely well into him though are Neeko and Kennen. So pretty much for the exact same reasons, both these champions are range picks, so they can use that range advantage against a non-gap close top laner. Also, if you run the Glacial Augment on Neeko, it's just so difficult for Darius to even walk up to you and even get any auto attacks off on you. You're never really going to be able to stack up your passive with Darius in these matchups. So as long as the Kennen, you play around your E cooldown, play aggressive when that's up, then Darius is never going to be able to jump onto you. Same with Neeko, just play around your W cooldown. Whenever that's up, Darius is never going to be able to do anything. So just really good picks into him for this patch. So taking a look at Riven now, she's the third most picked top laner. Two champions that can do exceptionally well into her are Volibear and Poppy. So both these champions do well for similar reasons. Poppy does have her W, which allows her to negate a lot of Riven's damage. Whenever Riven is airborne with her Q, you can use your W with Poppy to completely negate that damage coming out of Riven. Also with the Volibear pick, it's pretty similar. When Riven's airborne with her Q, you use your E as Volibear, and if you don't know how Volibear's E works, it actually does bonus damage if the enemy is airborne or if they're dashing. So it's a really good way for Volibear to very easily win out on the trade, because not only is he going to deal extra damage with his E, he's also going to negate Riven's damage from her Q. So with the aftershock there as well with Volibear, it just allows him to very easily win out on trades in this Riven matchup. And then moving into the jungle now, with Hecarim being a top 3 jungler in this patch, two champions you can look to pick into him are Udyr and then the Volibear pick again. So for Udyr, he can do a really good job at matching Hecarim's early pressure. He can also win out on 1v1 duels against Hecarim in the early game. So it's basically a pick that can do a great job at matching what Hecarim can do in the early levels. And then as for the Volibear pick, his E does a great job at countering Hecarim, because whenever Hecarim is trying to dash onto you with his E, you can use yours to knock him up, deal the extra damage, also negate the damage coming out of Hecarim's E. You also have the 3-second slow there on your E with Volibear, which greatly reduces Hecarim's damage in the 1v1. Hecarim's passive, it does scale with his movement speed, so the more move speed you get, the more AD your passive is going to give you. But with the slow from Volibear, it's going to greatly reduce Hecarim's damage coming out of his passive, and it just allows Volibear to win out on the 1v1 duels in the early game really well. And then taking a look at Jarvan, he has seen quite a rise in this patch. You got a quality of life change to his EQ combo, which saw his play rate and his win rate spike. So two champions you can look to play into him are Olaf and Vi. So Olaf can pretty handily beat Jarvan in the early game. You're going to take the conquer on Olaf. If you catch Jarvan out in the 1v1, you're going to be able to win that extended duel. And then as for Vi, she's a great pick into most junglers right now, so you can't really go wrong with picking her into a lot of things. But as for the Jarvan matchup, you can look to cancel his EQ combo when he's engaging on you with your Q. You can also look to do a really good job at peeling him off of your back line whenever Jarvan tries to dive in. You got really good lockdown with your ultimate, and you can look to knock him away with your Q. And then for the Vi pick, two champions you can play into are Kindred and Amumu. So Kindred can do a really good job at just dodging out on Vi's Q, which will drastically reduce her dueling potential throughout the game. So as long as you're just saving your Q for whenever Vi tries to Q you and dodge out on that, you're pretty much going to win the 1v1 every time with Kindred. Also, once you do reach the mid to late game, you can do a great job at countering Vi because of the Kindred ultimate. If you just use your ultimate whenever Vi's trying to dive on your backline and burst someone out, it's just not going to allow Vi to do that. And then as for the Amumu, pretty similar to Kindred there in the sense that with the Amumu ultimate, with the Amumu Q, you just have really good lockdown if Vi does try to dive in. So it's just very difficult for Vi to actually dive the backline and actually pick up kills against Amumu and Kindred. So moving over to the mid lane now is Zed. Two champions you can look to play into him are Karma and Vladimir. So Karma can do a great job at poking Zed out in the early game using the range advantage. She can also do a really good job at just not allowing Zed to really get any poke off on her. With the Karma E, you not only have a speed boost, but you also have a shield. So it's just very difficult for Zed to actually line up his Q and even hit that in the matchup. And if he does, you're just going to negate most of the damage with your E anyways. Once you do hit level 6, if you just use your mantra E when Zed tries to jump onto you, you can just do a great job at disengaging off of him and not allowing him to get any extra damage off to make his death mark do more damage. And then for Vladimir, he also does a great job at neutralizing Zed because when Zed hits level 6, if he tries to all-in Vladimir, you can just use your pool at the correct time and you're not really going to take much damage from the Zed ultimate. You're also going to outscale Zed super hard towards the mid to late game, so as long as you don't die super early in this matchup as Vladimir, you can use your pool to dodge his ultimate. Once you get a Zhonya's, it's just going to be very difficult for Zed to really do anything. But next up for Ahri, one of the most picked mids right now, having a lot of success. Two champions you can play into are Malz and Katarina. So for Malzahar there, he pretty much counters one of the main strengths to Ahri's kit in the fact that Ahri does have great mobility. She does very well into most skill shot oriented mid lane champions, but with the Malz pick, with your ultimate, you do a great job at locking her down and not allowing her to use that mobility. And then for Katarina, you can do a really good job at just taking short trades in the early game, and Ahri can't really respond back unless she has very quick reaction timing, because with your E with Katarina, you can jump in with it, get the reset, jump out, and Ahri can't really look to trade back. You can also do a great job at matching Ahri's mobility in the mid to late game with the resets from your E, and you can do just overall a really good job at dodging out on a lot of Ahri's damage. And then for Malzahar, two champions that can do great into him right now are Talon and Vel'Koz. So Talon, because Malz does have a much weaker early game, and Talon is one of the strongest early game mid lane champions, you can definitely look to pressure him very hard, and you can look to get some solo kills in the laning phase against him. For the Vel'Koz pick, you're going to heavily outrange him, so you can do a really good job at poking him out in the laning phase. You also do have really good wave clear with the Vel'Koz, so it's pretty difficult for Malz to really match your shove or to really even get any voidlings out in the laning phase, because you do have your W and your Q, which can destroy those very quickly. Once you do reach the mid to late game too, Vel'Koz is just gonna be able to Q ult you in a team fight, and you can't really look to respond back. So the range discrepancy in this matchup heavily favors the Vel'Koz, which can allow him to very easily win out in the 1v1. So moving down to the bot lane now, if we take a look at Caitlyn, both Sivir and Ashe can do a really good job into her, because both champions can look to match Caitlyn's early game power. With the Sivir pick there, you can look to actually shove Caitlyn in under tower in the laning phase. In most Caitlyn's matchup, she is going to be the one shoving you under tower, but that's not the case a lot of time with Sivir, especially if you do pair Sivir up with a strong early game support. You can really look to neutralize Caitlyn's early game potential. For the Ashe pick there, you do have a 600 auto attack range on Ashe. Caitlyn does have 650, so you can look to match the range there in the laning phase, and you can also look to poke Caitlyn out. So both these champions do very well into the pick for 913. And then for the Sivir pick, you can play Twitch or Vayne into her. So for the Twitch pick, Twitch is going to heavily outscale Sivir in the mid to late game, mainly just because of the range advantage Twitch does have. If you pop out a stealth with Twitch with your ultimate in a mid to late game fight, Sivir really is not going to be able to fight back at all, especially if you are using that range to your advantage with Twitch. Also, in both of these matchups, Sivir really doesn't have anything to spell shield. It's very difficult for you to spell shield the Twitch E, very difficult for you to spell shield the Vayne Condemn, so you're pretty much going to have to guess as to when you use the spell shield in these matchups. Vayne is also, along with Twitch, going to do a really good job at scaling well against the Sivir into the mid to late game, so either the Twitch or the Vayne, very good picks into Sivir for 9.13. And then for Kai'Sa, being played a ton right now, scales very nicely into the mid to late game. However, her early game is definitely a bit abusable. So two champions you can look to play into her are Draven and Miss Fortune. So you can just look to use your early games with Draven and MF, really get a snowball going against Kai'Sa and not allow her to reach that mid to late game to where she really does come online. And then if we take a look at the support role now for Lux, honestly, there's not too many picks that you can play into her and do well. It's just so difficult for you to do well against Lux just because she's got good poke in the laning phase. She's also pretty hard to engage on because of the aftershock. Two champions that can tend to do well against her right now though are Xerath and Brand. So with the Xerath pick, you can look to match Lux's poke in the laning phase or even beat her poke. So you can do a pretty good job at just poking her out due to the range advantage. And then as for the Brand pick there, you can just look to lock her down, especially at level 6, just stun her, get a ton of damage off on her, not allow her to proc that aftershock and soak up the damage. So both these two other very good damage supports are good into Lux. For Nautilus, you can look to pick either Lux or Morgana into him, so both champions can do a good job at just not allowing him to really jump onto his target. If he does end up getting a hook onto, say, your AD carry in the laning phase, you just use your bind. With the Morgana there especially, if you can time your black shield, it's just super difficult for the Nautilus to really even jump onto your AD carry and do any damage. With the Lux pick, if you just bind him, use your shield, he's not really going to have a ton of follow-up damage there. He's not going to be able to continue trading onto you, so you can just look to trade back against Nautilus pretty well in these matchups if he does look to engage. And then lastly here, for Nami, being played a ton right now, you can pick Rakan or Vel'Koz into her. So for the Rakan pick, you can do a really good job at just locking Nami down and hard engaging on her, not allowing her to hit like any skill shots, hit her Q at all in the laning phase. You can do a good job at dodging out on the Nami Q. So if Nami's trying to get a Q on you in the laning phase, you can just use your W to jump onto her, use your E to jump onto your AD carry if you don't want to be engaging. So it's pretty difficult for Nami to actually hit a bubble against you in the laning phase. For the Vel'Koz pick, you can outrange her pretty heavily, so you can look to poke her out in the laning phase, and then once you do hit level 6, you can just look to use your range advantage. If you hit a Q on her, get your E on her, and use your ultimate, Nami's just gonna die instantly, so you can look to really abuse the range advantage with Vel'Koz. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. Those are going to be the best counter picks against a lot of the strongest champions for 9.13. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.